Hi there, Martin from Salvo Migration here, and in this video we're going to walk through a recent partner visa approval. It's another one of our case studies. We're going to work through the couple's relationship timeline, so their history prior to applying for the visa, but also I'll show you what happened after lodgement, how long it took for a decision, and all the other important milestones and dates that you would need in order to compare your facts to this successful case. So stick around. Hi, welcome back. So let's get straight into it, shall we? What I'll do is I'll put the relationship timeline here on screen. So what you should be able to see here is the relationship and application timeline for a recently approved partner visa case that we handled here at Salvo Migration. I suppose just working backwards, the date of this approval was the 9th of November 2021. So a few months ago, based on, or depending when it is you're watching this video, but from the date of recording. Approved on the 9th of November 2021. It was a Subclass 820, which means it's an onshore partner visa application, and the country of passport for the applicant was Nigerian. Now, these couples' facts were that they met in person on the 3rd of February 2019. So let's kind of look at the timeline. Met in February 2019. Visa applied for on the 13th of March 2021. So you're looking at having known each other for a couple of years prior to lodgement. So that's an important, I suppose, factor to consider. They started dating exclusively, so dating from May 2019. So we're dating for just under 2 years, let's say from when they started dating to the date of application. Their de facto date, which was when they moved in together. So that's a very common question that we receive is, Martin, when do we become de facto? Because it's part of the application process. If you're applying for a partner visa as a de facto couple, you have to nominate your de facto date. And often there isn't a definitive way to determine when a couple have transitioned from being boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend to being de facto specifically. But there are some key facts that we look for to determine whether or not it's a safe time to be claiming that couple became de facto. Typically, we look for cohabitation and we look for financial pooling. If I was to really condensely summarize the key facts we would want in place for a couple in order to claim they're in a de facto relationship, in terms of what we would put in a timeline like this, generally we're looking for when they started living together and started pooling their finances to pay for their living expenses. So in this case, for this couple, that was around November 2019. So they had been living together for, let's say, 15 months or give or take prior to lodgement. Okay, so that's important to know. They opened up a joint account on the 13th of January 2020. Okay, so became de facto, moved in on the 4th of November 2019. About a couple of months later, opened up their joint account. They engaged our services to prepare this application on the 5th of February 2021. So they had already become a de facto couple, let's say, had already opened up their joint account. Maybe they had done a bit of research. Maybe they'd watched some of our other videos to know what to do prior to submitting an application. And they had already moved in and opened up their joint account. And then they engaged us in February 2021. Then we worked with that couple for about a month. That's how quickly we were able to submit this application. And that's not always the case. It really depends on how quickly couples can provide us everything we need. But in this instance, the application preparation process was, well, let's say around 5 to 6 weeks. We ensured that the couple applied for a civil union on the 26th of February 2021. So engaged our services. One of the first things we recommended was go and register your relationship as a civil union, because if you're applying as a de facto couple, what that does is that it removes the 12-month rule from the assessment of your application. So in this case, let's use these timeframes as an example. If the partner visa is submitted on the 13th of March 2021, if you are not married at the time of application, then you're applying as a de facto couple. And if you don't have a civil union, or if you don't register the relationship as a civil union in most Australian states other than WA and Northern Territory, then this couple would have had to satisfy that they were in a de facto relationship when the visa was submitted, which is the 13th of March 2021, but also 12 months prior, which would have been the 13th of March 2020. Now, the 13th of March 2020, they had just opened up a joint account and had been living together for about 4 months prior. So that's not to say that they wouldn't have been able to satisfy the 12-month rule based on those facts. It's probably arguable that they may have anyway, but registering the civil union really removes all that risk. And all you need to be worried about, and all your legal representative or us, if we're handling the case for you, need to be worried about, is that when the visa is submitted, in this case, let's say the 13th of March 2021, at that point in time, your relationship facts demonstrate that you are in a de facto relationship. Now, with this couple, having cohabitated for as long as they did, pooled their finances for, well over 12 months prior to lodgement, organized their civil union about a month prior to lodgement, and nominated each other as their superannuation beneficiaries just prior to lodgement. So even though they did a few things pretty quickly prior to lodgement, and that's another, I suppose, flow-on common question I get is, Martin, will it look sus? Will it look dubious if we now go and open up a joint account, register a civil union, nominate each other as superannuation beneficiaries, and apply for a partner visa pretty quickly thereafter? And my general response to that concern is, look, ultimately, you want to be doing these things firstly if you feel comfortable doing them in your relationship. You shouldn't be doing anything for the purposes of a partner visa. So that's the first thing. Is only do things or go and accumulate relationship evidence or strengthen your facts if that's what you actually want to do genuinely in your relationship. But secondly, at the end of the day, what matters more is that your relationship is authentic and genuine. And we would always like couples to increase or strengthen their facts naturally, progress their relationship naturally. But it's inevitable that when you meet someone, at the time that you start the relationship, it's very unlikely that you're thinking about a partner visa at that point in time. It's very unlikely that you have the foresight to start getting organized ahead of time knowing you're going to apply for a partner visa. It always happens that couples realize later on in their relationship timeline that they're needing to apply for a partner visa due to various reasons, and then they say, oh wow, what if I wish we had done all these things in the past. Now yes, ideally that would be preferred, but it's not the way relationships work. So when it comes to strengthening your application prior to lodgement, to me that always trumps things feeling a little bit rushed, because at the end of the day, what matters are your facts when you submit the application. So you don't want to not do things out of fear that they seem disingenuous. You do want to do things because at the end of the day, they need to assess what you have on paper. Yes, the timeframes in which you do things prior to lodgement can be relevant, but I would always put more emphasis on strengthening a couple's case rather than not doing so out of fear that it may seem a little bit rushed. And look, this is, I suppose, a perfect example. The couple registered their civil union just a few weeks prior, and nominated each other as their superannuation beneficiaries 3 days prior to lodgement. And the application was ultimately approved on the 9th of November 2021. We did receive an RFI, a request for information, on the 3rd of June 2021. And what I'll say here is that it's very likely that this application would have been processed much faster because of the nature of the request. So when we submitted the application, what was requested from this Nigerian applicant is a police clearance from Nigeria. And unfortunately, at that time, during the middle of COVID, it was very slow and complicated to organize a lot of overseas police clearances, but particularly from countries like Nigeria. So there was a really long waiting time where we were waiting for the police clearance from Nigeria in order to get this application finalized and granted by the government. So there's a lesson there in that, firstly, it doesn't matter if you can't attach your police clearances immediately after lodgement. It doesn't matter if they request police clearances from you and you can't get them within the time frame that they ask you to provide them. As long as you can demonstrate to the government that you are trying to organize those things, so you intend to provide them, they know that there's external factors that delay you being able to collect things like overseas police clearances, for example. So in this instance, the application was submitted, the RFI received, we went through the process of starting to organize the Nigerian clearance, but unfortunately it took a really long time, and that's what delayed the application process. But as soon as we were able to upload the Nigerian clearance, the application was approved on the 9th of November 2021. So total processing time was 7 months from lodgement, so 13th of March to the 9th of November. But like I said, it probably could have been a little bit faster had we been able to collect the Nigerian clearance sooner. Now, some key summaries, okay, the couple met approximately 25 months prior to lodgement. So it's always important to know that the length of your relationship before you apply for a partner visa, that the amount of time you've lived together for, the amount of time you've pulled your finances together for, these are all things that are related in the assessment of your relationship. So length of relationship is relevant. That's why we like to visually summarize this in these types of videos. But also when we're submitting partner visas, or if we're teaching people like you to self-prepare their own applications using Visi, our partner visa preparation software, we would always encourage users and our clients to prepare relationship timelines like this. We have external resources that you can purchase to show you and guide you how to create these exact timeline images. It's in our partner visa shop. You're more than welcome to have a look. But by visually representing your case to a case officer, they get to see exactly what's happened prior to lodgement. So in this case, couple met approximately 25 months prior to lodgement. They started dating exclusively 22 months prior to lodgement, started cohabitating approximately 16 months prior to lodgement, started pulling their finances approximately 14 months prior to lodgement, and were in a civil union 15 days prior to lodgement, okay? And the visa was granted. Some other key notable facts to this case specifically. The Australian sponsor has young children from a prior relationship. That's very common and can often be part of the relationship evidence that you might accrue. So if that's your type of fact, if those facts are similar to your case, if you have a child from a previous relationship or your partner does, any evidence that you can demonstrate that you are part of the care and nurture of that child will always be quite profound and strong and compelling relationship evidence. That's something you might want to kind of take away from this video. The relationship was registered with Centrelink. Okay, so the Australian sponsor was receiving Centrelink payments at the time. We ensured that we advised the sponsor to record the relationship with Centrelink. What you don't want is conflicting information with different government departments. You don't want Centrelink on the one hand to think that the Australian sponsor is single for the purpose of receiving payments, but at the same time, they're trying to sponsor someone for a partner visa claiming they're in a relationship. You don't want that contradiction. That can be used as a reason to refuse an application. The RFI was received on the 30th of June, so the request for information, the Nigerian clearance, and medicals were requested on the 3rd of June. Medicals we were able to organize quickly, but as I said before, it's the Nigerian clearance that kind of held this up a little bit. But as soon as that was resolved, the partner visa was granted pretty shortly thereafter. So that's, guys, is I suppose the relationship and application timeline for this case. If you'd like to learn how to get your application approved like that, without needing an immigration lawyer agent like myself, then please go have a look at our Partner Visa Secrets Workshop. It's a free on-demand partner visa training hosted by myself, where I'll teach you everything you need to know about Australian partner visas. It's going to save you a lot of time without needing to go and research various sources of information. It's all there for you. And the catch really is that at the end of the training, I'll outline some of the options that you have in terms of all the products and services that we have available at Salvo Migration that extend well beyond just legal representation. Of course, as a law firm, we will always offer that service, but we have a variety of products to help clients and people like yourself self-prepare and DIY their applications safely. Keep an eye out for our next case study that we will upload to our YouTube channel shortly. This is a permanent 801 grant for another Nigerian client. We don't just do Nigerian clients, we have clients from all over the world. It just so happens that the one we're doing next will be a Nigerian passport. So please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and tick that notification bell so you know when we upload the next case study. We really hope to be able to produce more of these case studies. I find that they're a really good way for viewers to compare their relationship facts to successful cases, and hopefully you can take away some pointers from these videos to ultimately strengthen your case and hopefully get you to your partner visa approval. So that's it from me, guys. Martin Salvo from Salvo Migration. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one.